Thank you so much for tuning in to Awakening with Katina Love. We are a conscious talk show to learn about self empowerment, the law of attraction, creating financial abundance, metaphysics, and natural health. Please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Awakening with Katina Love. Today, our special guest is Tiffany Janae. She is a returning guest, certified crystal healer. Her website is yonieggs.com. If you would like to go back and listen to the previous show that we did about yoni eggs, you're more than welcome to do that. Tiffany, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Beautiful. So today we're going to talk about the power of crystals. How awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am so fascinated with crystals. I discovered them maybe about 10 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And just always been fascinated with how the beauty of them and the energy that they hold. So I absolutely love them. I share that passion with you. How did you discover crystals? And what exactly are crystals?
Well, I like to call them mineral people, and I was actually raised by them. So they've been part of my life probably since conception. My mom,
Mm,
there's this huge spiritual movement that's happening now and things, which is cool, where many people are coming into um, crystals and stuff like that. But my mom has always been into this. And so I was raised as it being normal.
mm-hmm.
And I can remember like we had them everywhere. And my mom taught me to like, these are what keep you safe and they keep you protected and things like that. But like the first time I ever got sent away from my family when I had to go to daycare, my mom actually bought me a special crystal. At the
Mm-hmm.
time, she called it a worry stone. And it was this flat round crystal and it had an imprint in it like where you could put your thumb, and she said that I should carry that in my pocket, and if any time I feel sad or lonely or afraid that I can just rub that and that's will activate its powers and it'll keep me safe.
Oh,
So
wow.
we've always just had them. As far as in what crystals are to me, they are ascended masters that live, they hold the frequency of our planet basically because they're
Mm-hmm.
underneath the ground and they're everywhere in some sort of form. And they are energies that have been encapsulated that have mastered these particular traits that us humans are looking to come here and remember about ourselves. And these are things like fortune and wisdom and abundance and kindness and relationships and
Mm-hmm.
intelligence, forgiveness, all of these things that we used to just do naturally and lost touch with at some point. The crystals, they have a oscillatory rate, so they don't change that. They stay, they hold that frequency all of the time.
That is amazing. So what happens when the crystals, because I notice like sometimes my crystals, they'll have a high vibration and sometimes they don't have a high vibration. They don't feel the same. Like say if I leave my purse in somebody's car or something like that, or, you know, whatever it may be, if I lay it on the kitchen table and other people's energy is around, it doesn't feel the same. So what's that all about?
That, wait, what doesn't feel the same? I missed that part.
Oh yeah, like just say if you leave your crystals around somebody else and they always say don't let other people touch your crystals, but or just say if you're shopping
Mhm.
for crystals and they have to be cleared. What's up with that? What's your take on that?
Yeah, it's actually a really good point. Um, I've always been taught that people shouldn't touch your crystals because they can influence. Well, so now that I'm thinking about it, the thing is that there is
Hmm.
no good and there is no bad, right? Everything
Hmm.
just is. And so sometimes in our human form, we can say if we don't like something at a particular moment, then we say that's bad. And
Hmm.
and then but maybe when we get a grander perspective we might say, oh, that was actually good. So I just think that it's really about what kind of energy you want to take on. Like the crystals are a technology, so they're programmable. They have their own frequency and their own knowledge in them, but they're also able to take on programming. And sometimes we learn some of our best lessons from what we would consider something being bad.
Right.
So maybe you're not ready to take on that lesson, or that's not something that you want in your frequency. And so that can feel like it's negative or bad, and you would want to cleanse your crystals away from that.
Wow, that's a good way to look at it. That's a different perspective. Awesome. So what are some other purposes for the crystals? I know you mentioned protection earlier and how they help you to um, get through life,
Mhm.
basically. So what are some other things that they're good for? And you mentioned that they are mineral people. So do they have minerals inside of them, like minerals to help us heal our body or?
Well, they're made from minerals, like that's what their makeup is. But yeah, they're good for many different things. Mostly our energetic body is what's I find is their strength. And then you
Mm-hmm.
can take them in different forms. So you can wear them, you can have them around in your home. You can also, some of them you can take internally. So you can use it in a form of, like, say, a yoni egg, or you can make water essence out of them by putting crystals directly inside of water and then drinking the water from
Mm-hmm.
that essence that they create. But ultimately, all of these are just going in to really affect the energetic body. And that's the unseen. And so this is something like, I don't think religion really teaches much about the energy of things. It's more so just like believe, and
Yeah.
but spirituality is more about energy and feeling things and knowing that there's this communication in this whole world that's happening that could be beyond our actual two eyes. And it's something you see with your third eye. You know, it's an intuition, it's a feeling, it's a vibration. And so the crystals, they kind of work in that position. And you could do, like I said, all those other ways you use them, but they're pretty cool when you use them in combination with like feng shui or sacred
Mm-hmm.
geometry, and putting them in certain places. Like, I have, sometimes I'll take crystal points, because
Mm-hmm.
the different forms the crystals are in is different things that they can help you with. So if you have like the points, you could take the points and you put them in your corners of either your home or room, and you have the point pointing out. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like this particular type of energy. Oh, and then there's another one I'll mention too, black
Mm-hmm.
tourmaline.
I
And
love
this
that
one's
one.
good. Yeah, that one's good for deflecting negative energy and sending it back to the sender.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also really good for deflecting the EMFs that we get from all of this technology, and it helps block that out so that you're not just absorbing it. So they have many different superpowers.
That is awesome. So what are some of your favorite crystals?
Um, as far as in a yoni egg, my favorite crystal is definitely carnelian. They're just so beautiful, and all of them are patterned differently, and they have these intricate, incredible patterns to them that it always amazes me that nature made something just like that.
Mm-hmm.
I also love fluorite and pyrite because the way that they grow is in
Mm-hmm.
these perfect cubes. And it's just, again, it's like I can't even understand how things are growing like this with so much intention. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I like I like black tourmaline. I like the quartz family because they're very supreme in what they do. And then I'm also into obsidian because obsidian is made from lava, and lava is
Wow.
the energy of Pele, which is the fire goddess. And I guess that could be equivalent to Kali, which is like destructive, fierce, um, head snatching type of energy. And but that's also clearing energy, and it helps you get in touch with that part of yourself that may be destroying your own self because you're holding on to old beliefs, or something that you need to activate to gain more courage. So that's really fierce, divine feminine energy.
Oh, that's amazing. So how can the crystals be used? Like if somebody's just starting out with crystals, how would you recommend that they use them, or what is your take on that?
Um, I don't think that there's any right way or wrong way. I think that it's a calling, like first you just see them and it's like, oh, those are pretty rocks. And then at some point, something happens in somebody's life that's pivotal, that even brings them to consider that this rock could actually help them.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever that is, like the crystals, they guide you and they take on their own mission, but just being open and receptive to however they're coming in and entering, because they're communicating something important. Like I was raised with the crystals and I've had them in various different ways. From, like I said, they were in that little round disc, and that was for me as a child. And then as I got older, I went through a rites of passage, and my mom got me um, an opal ring, which is my birthstone, and it was like a big deal to be given
Mm-hmm.
this type of valuable thing for me to take care of. And then when I started driving and I got aware of like being in a car, we had crystals hanging from our rear view mirror, and there was a particular type of crystal. And then when I became a wife and I set the intention to really learn how to be a wife and
Mm-hmm.
fall into this position of being into womanhood, they came into my life as yoni eggs. And I had never even heard of them like that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so they just kind of do their thing. You know, I'm also really big on, they're the ones that moved me to where I live now, into Hawaii, because they wanted, I say that I'm the ambassador for them because of the work that I do as a certified
Mm-hmm.
healer, and then working with yoni eggs. I do a lot of my life is dedicated to making sure they get sent out to who they want to
Okay.
go to. And so
Yeah.
at one point in my life, I was really uncomfortable in my living conditions. And I was like, you guys have me doing all of this work for you and my focus going on you, but I need you to make sure that I'm comfortable and that I'm living the way I want to live so that I can be a better service to you. And I just held this vision of where I wanted to be. And
Mm-hmm.
it was them that moved me to Hawaii. And like, so
Wow.
they're pretty amazing. However they come in, and you can talk to them and have this relationship with them. I've seen them do miraculous things.
That is amazing. Would you like to share some of the things they've done? Because how do you tune into them? How do you create that relationship with the crystals?
Well, for me, I don't know what it's like for other people, but
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's just been natural. Like my mom has always talked to me in forms of energy, and I feel like that was the very first language that I ever learned.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was very natural for me to adapt, that these rocks are communicating, and they're sending a communication and a vibration. Um, and I don't, as I've worked with other people and friends, there's a similar conversation that we share where they feel the same way. So I'm not sure how they go about doing that, but it's working. But I've used them for many different things. And sometimes it's, there's this thing where it's like, oh, is it the crystals that are doing it, or is it your belief in this object? And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they both work together. So when I have a particular crystal, I have thousands of crystals around me. They're always
Wow.
everywhere I go. And so, but sometimes I'll feel called to work with one crystal in particular. And I might carry that one around with me, or I might sleep with it, or I might,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, do something special with that one in particular. And so then I'll start doing research to, like, if I feel called to it, then I'll do research to read about what it is and what it works on. So then that gives me an idea of what it's coming into my forefront for. So then that triggers me to then be more mindful about this lesson that I'm that it's taking me through, so
Wow.
that I can show up for that lesson,
Mm-hmm.
get it, so I don't have to keep repeating it. So it is like, just because I seen it, it is changing me, but it's also a feeling and a connection. And then there's other times where I might be struggling with something, or I might need support in something, and I'll be like, okay, I'm going to bring on, like if I'm dealing with a really negative person and I don't want them in my life anymore, and I'm
Yeah.
having a hard time banishing them out of my attention, I
Mm-hmm.
might pull something, a crystal that works on that. And I'll have this communication with the crystal to say, this is what I'm working on. This is why I want this. And then I'll carry it around with me to help assist me with that particular goal.
That is
So,
amazing. Wow.
yeah.
So what are your, have you ever, tell me this, have you ever experienced, like if you place your crystal somewhere and it moves, like you notice, like just say, Like, just say for me, I have a black, I think it's a black obsidian or something. I don't know like all of my crystals, but I think it's a black obsidian. And it's sitting on my altar and it moves from time to time. I'll move it back, put it in its place where I had it before, and it'll move again.
Hmm.
Have you ever had that happen?
Yeah, many times. Um, in particular with the yoni eggs, I experienced where I would have a client that ordered a particular stone and I would have that stone like sitting on my desk ready to go, and then I come back and it's gone. And so then I'm like, oh my god, I know that this was here. So then I end up having to contact the customer like, listen, I'm sorry, I don't have this one anymore, do you
Hmm.
want to choose another one? And then I'll send that one, and once they get it, they're like, oh, I was really bummed that I didn't get what I wanted, but actually this is exactly what I needed. And then as soon
Wow.
as that transaction's done, the crystal reappears back where I left it at. um,
Wow.
I've also had things where I've like intended to send out a particular stone and totally didn't. Like, I don't even know where I was at mentally that I sent the wrong stone. And I have clients that write me like, this is not what I ordered. And through experience, I've learned to tell them, just go ahead and research it, read about what you got, and see how that resonates, and like sit on it for a little bit and then
Yeah.
contact me back. And it's always like 9 times out of 10, they'll always be like, damn, this is on point. This is exactly what I needed. So,
Hmm.
but I do have many clients that tell me that their crystals move or their yoni eggs aren't there and things like that. I don't know how they do it. They're pretty amazing, but they're up to something for sure.
I'm like, is there a portal? If they just
Yeah.
disappear, is there a portal? They just go through the portal. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go
For
somewhere else now.
real.
Yeah, but there's like one crystal, it'll move like as far as an inch away from where I had it.
Hmm.
So maybe I should meditate because this is the one that I notice that moves. I don't notice the other ones so much, the other ones that I have, but that particular one, it always moves. And
Wow.
I'm like, what is up with that? So maybe I should just meditate on it. Maybe, do you think my angels are moving it, or is it just the energy in the crystal, or it just wants to move around, or
Well, I don't know, but I know that it's getting your attention, so it's worth it to look into what the properties are of that stone so that you can like get the lesson.
okay, I'll do that. What is your take on making grids, like different grids with the crystals? Do you
What
make
do you mean?
do you
Like,
make grids like money grids or love relationship grids? I've heard of people making abundance grids.
I think at some time I've experimented with that, but I do my best to not put my faith and my work, my own personal work that needs to be done into
Mhm.
um those kind of objects. So I don't like with money, I know that it's an energy. And sometimes I'll do certain things where it's like, all right, I'm going to burn this money candle or I'm going to use this crystal to put here. But I try not to like rely solely on that. And I use it more as a support system. But
Mhm.
knowing that I have to do certain things in my own life in order to have those, like money is not necessarily magic, and it's not something that just appears because you just wanted it so bad for so long and didn't do anything about it. But more so, like, money is yours to have, abundance is yours to have, health is yours to have, all of these things are yours to have. But it's about going inside of your own self to see, like, how do you align with those things, and
Mhm.
are you doing what needs to be done in order to be able to like obtain those things. So with money, I don't tend to do a lot of like money type of focused things because I already know why my money is the way that it is and what I need to do. And that can be things like being organized, making sure if I have a business and I want my business to be successful, well, what do I need to do to make sure that my business is successful? Do I
Mhm.
have the proper LLC? Do I have a bank account? Do I have customer service protocol in place? Do I, in my marketing, like, am I charging my value? Am I turning away clients? Am I where in my system do I need to change my mentality about that? And
Mhm.
money in particular is such a big thing because many people covet it because they think that it'll solve all your problems. And money does bring a certain level of comfort, but it also can bring a tremendous amount of discomfort. And learning about what that means in this physical world and how to maturely relate with that energy is really where the work is at. And I
Mhm.
find that when I start to do those things, that's when I will magnetize to me more abundance. And the crystals sometimes could just be the again, like the energetic or the visual cue to remind me that I need to do my own work around that.
I get that. That's really awesome. That's really awesome. So are you just kind of led? So do you carry the crystals around with you when you travel? Like, do you use the same ones, or do you kind of are you guided on which ones to carry with you, or how does that work?
I change them up. Like, well, in my purse, I always have a crystal point with me,
Mhm.
and I don't know why, I just do. I'm just really into the crystal quartz. It's like the master of crystals, and it's also the only one that's attuned to all seven chakras. So I like to keep that around me. When I go out and I do business, I'll usually bring a citrine with me because
Mhm.
that's the stone of merchants, and it helps bring more success to a business. So I'll do that, and that just helps to empower me to just be like more mindful of my actions so that I can maximize my efforts. Um, if I'm dealing with like, I went through a period of time where I went through a breakup and I had a lot of like spitefulness and anger and hurt and those things. And so I worked a lot with carrying around a rose quartz and then
Mhm.
also passing out rose quartz to people that I felt were dealing with something similar. And
Mhm.
that just helped like give the gift of love, and it kept me in that vibration. So I kind of just move around with them, whatever I'm feeling, whenever they're feeling me. And, but they're always like, they're surrounded in my home, and it's just a matter of like what I'm going to bring. Oh, one thing I always
Yeah.
keep on me, I have this ring
Mhm.
that I had custom made and I wear it every day. It has a moonstone on it and a labradorite. And labradorite also, I just made a new string of waist beads, and which go around my womb, which is my
Mhm.
fertile center. And labradorite is one I'm really into because I love the magic of life,
Mhm.
and which is like serendipity, being at the right place
Wow.
at the right time. I really love those kind of moments and acknowledging them as often as possible. And that's what labradorite specializes in. And keeping my third eye open. So imagining, envisioning, and being able to see myself accomplishing things in my mind's eye so that I can do it in physical. And the moonstone is about keeping my feminine waters balanced, my emotions balanced, and like my hormones intact, and honoring all of the different female energies that I embody, but knowing when to use which one for that particular time.
Okay, beautiful. Awesome. So do you think there's a difference between crystals and just regular rocks outside?
Definitely, but I don't want to discredit rocks because I haven't done much research on them, so
Yeah.
I don't really know like what their gifts are and what they
Mhm.
do. But I just know that crystals have a different type, their own kind of magic.
Yeah. Cool. I use my crystals, like I have them around my plants too, and my plants are absolutely thriving. And it
Wow.
seems like they grow more now that I have the crystals. They're getting bigger.
Hmm.
Have you
Wow, that's
noticed that?
cool.
Do you have plants?
Yeah, I do, and I have crystals around them too. So
Mm.
maybe that helps as well.
Yeah, awesome. So what products and services do you offer? I know you have the yoni eggs. What are some other things that you do?
I host events. I create events. So in 2019, I have two retreats coming up. I have one in Hawaii called moneymagicretreat.com. And it's a 5-day retreat for women entrepreneurs that want to learn about practical business building, and then also how to energetically align with that of which they wish for.
Hmm.
And then I have a 12-day retreat in Ecuador, and that's a raw food healing holistic retreat. And that one's at surrenderretreat.com. Um,
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I do private sessions for people. I do chakra cleansing and crystal therapy, and I teach sacred sexuality. Um, so a lot of different things. I'm in school right now to become a certified plant-based chef. I'm just kind of like all different things. Sometimes
Yeah.
people will be like, you need to focus on one thing. And my thing is like, I am focused on one thing. I'm focused on the tree. I am the tree. And all of these different interests are my branches. And so
I
I
agree with
just
that.
do
I
lots of
feel that.
different things.
That's beautiful. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Are there any last thoughts that you want to share? Anything else?
No, I feel fulfilled.
Beautiful, beautiful. So if someone's just starting out with their crystals, what do you want to tell them?
Just go with the flow and trust the vibes.
Trust the vibe. So if they're like I was told, like pick the crystals that I feel drawn to. That's what I was taught, when I
Uh-huh.
first got into just pick whatever is drawn. And the very first one I picked up was a selenite point, and it's a tall one. It's probably 9 inches, and it has a point on it. And it was like the energy was so powerful when I picked it up. I was like, it was so strong I couldn't even handle it. That's how strong it was. I had to ask it to tone it, to tone itself down a little bit. It was so powerful.
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
wow, this thing is powerful. Yeah, that was quite interesting.
That's fun.
It is. Yeah, selenite. That was the first one I picked up. And then I just fell in love with the crystals. I went back and just bought a whole bunch more, kind of like you.
Mhm. So what's interesting is that selenite's actually not a crystal, it's salt.
Oh, wow.
But as being that type of mineral, it does have its own energy to it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I never
yeah.
knew that. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Selenite is a salt. Wow. Wow,
Yep.
that's powerful. Yeah, they're very powerful because I picked it up and it was just like, wow. Maybe it's where it came from, or I don't know where that energy was, but it was super powerful.
Yeah, and then once, so like in your case, to go back to your original question of where do you begin? So that one is what you were drawn to and what you picked up, and you felt all this energy. Well, then
Mhm.
that takes you down this rabbit hole of discovering like why did you choose it? What's it getting your attention for? And just seeing what it focuses on, and then relating that to your life of like, okay, this is what's coming up. This is what's on my docket to be dealing with, and then
Mhm.
taking that journey.
Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna go back and
Yeah.
explore that. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Well, thanks again for coming back on and being a guest.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. And thank you so much for tuning in to Awakening with Katina Love. Namaste.